Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. How you doing? Hope today's going well. Got a lovely little monochromatic piece to share today. And I just thought this could cover so many eventualities and also is great for a man's card. And a lot of you do say, you know, what designs can we do for men? And I just think this is lovely. And I've gone for the lovely sentiment, time for bed. Now, it could be that this is the dawn chorus, so it could actually be time to wake up. You could use just this part, and that's what I love about a design. You can take the little bits that you wish. But as I say, I thought we'd go monochromatic. You might want to do this a few times and then add colour next time. Maybe add some gorgeous sunrise, some sunset colours, those lovely oranges. Maybe vintage, maybe just go browns. As I say, the options are there. So I can't wait for you to have a go at this design. And we're going to start with a piece of Multifarious card. And this is 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And I'm going to start with my stamping. And all the stamping today is in the Nocturne, the Versafine Clair. So again, if you're one of our new friends and followers and you've only got a couple of colours, you can do a monochromatic. First stamp is the vine branch. And I'm going to give this a good inking. She says if I can take the lid off. So I hope today finds you well. I like to pop in, check how you're doing. Give that a good inking. And then I'm just going to stamp it sideways just because I find that easiest. And I'm going to pop this here. Now, again, as we know, this makes a lovely branch, so you can stamp it this way, put one of our owls or our fairies on the branch, but we're going to use it as a tree. I love using just the edges. If you need foliage coming off a card, just stamping this foliage part works really well. So next we'll go for the fairy towns. Stamp this up in the black again. And again, this is lovely. It can be if you're going on a walk or a holiday. So if you're doing a scrapbook or a journal, it's a very useful stamp. So we'll stamp this one, and I just want the post to be just coming off the page at the bottom there. Lovely. So what we're going to do now is just draw ourselves a little bit of a washing line. Now again, come on ladies and gentlemen, just be brave. Black fine liner, I've got a brown one as well, so I just check it is the black one. And all I'm going to do is draw myself a line and just go for it across there. Don't worry about it. And then loop it round and we'll tie it with a bow. Same here, we'll loop this round and then we've got a bow. And that just gives me my nice washing line. Now it could be you could hang your fairy wings on there. They would look fabulous. But we're going to bring the fledglings. I love these, as you can tell. So I do use them a lot, and I'm not going to apologise for that because I do love them. The hardest trick here is actually sitting them on the washing line for that one. And you know what? If you miss, well, we've got that black fine liner. So we may just have to extend the feathers a little. Whoa, I see, we're okay. We did okay there. But like I say, if not, my black fine liner is there ready. I would just draw in a couple of extra feathers. And then to team up, because we like threes, don't we? So I needed, this one's a song thrush in my head. And I just want to put the song thrush just here. So again, if he's floating a bit, my black fine liner will come in very useful to extend his feet. But as it happens, we're just lucky. We've actually planted him on the sign. Now, when I created this design, I just thought I like that, but it does look a bit bare at the bottom. It needs a little bit more grounding. So in with the field grass. If you've not got the field grass, the orchard grass would work just as well here. And I'm just going to do a nice little shape with first, second and third generation. So obviously first generation is the first, but then without inking up, we stamp again and we get 3, 4, 5 lots. And I always think that's just such a good way of using the ink on your stamp. So I just want it a little bit darker here, so I'll come in with a first generation look, and we'll have second and third, just to, I think that makes a nice shape. It finishes it off really well. Now, our beautiful birds are singing, as I say, so music notes. Now, I say music notes, I've got to be honest, my music notes are all in a little container together. So I'm not sure if these are on music, the set 1 or 2, because mine are just mixed. So whichever music notes you've got, music notes. Now, if you're good at music and you know about these notes, I'm afraid I don't. So I'm hoping I'm just stamping a nice random set of notes. Obviously, I'm not going for any specific tune. Mind you, I don't know with these notes, could you make up a tune? Now, I've got to be honest, I've got a little single one. I do cut the notes up. Shh, don't tell Tracy. So, and I find this so useful. Just we'll have that there. And then maybe just up there. Yeah, happy with that. But I did just, you know, in case you're worried, I did give my music notes an anaesthetic before I cut him off. So he's okay. No, they weren't hurt. I'm giving that a blot. Versafine Clair, slower drying ink, and we don't want to smudge it. So for the background, I'm going to come in and use graphite. So this is our elements, our lovely blending inks. And then I'm going to bring in some midnight blue just for depth of colour. So I'm going to add the moon mask, and what I'm going to do is pop it there. You could, if you wanted to spotlight the song thrush there, but I didn't like the balance of that. I thought it looked better just behind there. So as always, I like to turn my work upside down. And again, I'm going to blend in the lid. And what that means is that when I start at the base, if I've got too much ink on, I mean, my graphite's a very light colour and it's a well-used ink pad. But if it was a new ink pad and it was a darker colour, at least if it's dark at the bottom, that just looks like shade with the moon mask. So I could get away with that, which is why I turn it upside down. I don't particularly need to do it for this card, but it's a good practice to get into. And I think the better we get in these practices, there's nothing worse than doing all that lovely stamping and then adding your colour and it not looking right. You see, look at that. It's just, it probably doesn't pick it up very well because it is so light. So what I'm going to do now is just add a little bit more of the grey, just to take the whiteness off that card. Important now that I do blend it on the lid, even though it's a well-used ink pad, I don't want lines in the middle. I want to make sure I've got that lovely, lovely blend. So next, the midnight blue. And this I'm just going to add around the edges. And as you know, I always start, let me get some kitchen roll to lean on. I always start with the bottom corner because I know I want that the darkest. And so that will just look like shadow. Don't worry, that's just somebody at the door. We'll just ignore them. Let's hope it's something nice. Could it be my order from Lavinia? Some more goodies to play with? Let's hope so. Right, there we go. Nice bit of blending at the bottom. Fabulous. And then all the way around. Turn it round. And again, that corner. Always start in the corners. We want the corners deeper. And then just up the side. Turn it round. Next corner. Lovely. And then when you're happy with the corner, just bring it along the top. And it's just a good system. It works really well for me. Again, this corner. And then when I'm happy with that colour, down the side. And then what I tend to do is just pop the design in like this and just look at my corners, see if they're even. If I want to darken them up a bit, I can judge the ink and I can come straight from the ink pad. Just so I've got each corner balanced. Yeah, happy with that. Now, while we've got this ink, I'm going to add, now it could be you want to leave it like that. And what's lovely with these designs, to show you the different stages, you could leave it like that. But I'm going to come in with this stencil. And this one is called Glory. And I just thought these shapes reminded me of leaves. And I just wanted some added interest in the background. So I'm going to put my moon mask back on because I don't want to go over the moon look. But I'm just going to place my stencil in the middle there. And then just add some nice gentle stencil work. And if I lift that up, well, actually, I think I'm going to stop there. If I wanted a little bit more, say here, look, I could just choose, that's that nice little leaf there. Add a little bit more there. Maybe there. Maybe just, I want a smaller one. Ah, there we go, that shape. Just coming round there, nice and light. I don't need any more ink. Yeah. And then just actually a little bit of one in that corner. Just the hint of, yeah. And then while I've got the ink, I'm going to go for my smaller brush look. Just going to turn it round. And I'm just going to add some colour to these little signs. Now, it could be that you want to use your pencils and add colour. But I just love the way my number 3 brush just lets me add that colour and quite quickly. And I'm starting at the bottom. The reason I turned it upside down is I find it easier. Look, I can start at the bottom and that will instantly give me shade. So if I turn it round, and I think that just gives that bit of oomph to that corner. So I'm just going to give this a spritz and clean this up. Now again, you could smoosh your journal, but we'll just give it a clean because I'm always conscious of the time. And then it's just those little finishing touches now. And for those, we'll come in with our white. You can tell I use the white the most, can't you? Look at that. And I'm just going to add some little highlights on our beautiful fledglings and give them a wing each. And the same with my little thrush here, my little song thrush that's singing away. Just going to give him a bit of a lovely wing. And then with my pen, I'll come in and just on the music notes, add some little highlights. And on these lovely little berries here, well, just where they catch, where they're near the moon, just a little bit. And then maybe just a couple more. I love these tufty bits. And then just down the side here. And maybe just in the corner. A little bit on his beak. As I say, I don't want to overdo it. And then I'm just going to come in with, again, I'm going to pop this back over because I don't want water splats on there. If you don't like your water splats, again, leave this off. I just really want to catch the corners. So I'm just going to angle my brush and catch these corners just to add a little bit more interest. With it being monochromatic, I just think it's nice to have the detail. I'll give that a wipe. And while that's drying, I'll give this another wipe and I can look for my lovely, on my sentiment stickers here. And it happens I've got time for bed on this one. Oh, I know, I'm going to go for start again, because do you know what? I was going to put time for bed, but I think it's early morning, and I think my lovely song thrush is singing, oh, here we go again, the start of another day, so we're starting again. And then what I'm going to do is just give this a little bit of a pat, because full bleaching, you can take the card back to white. I'm happy with just a colour change, a change in the tone. I don't need it to be white, and I like that. You see how it just gives that extra mottled effect? And as I say, I think just the basis for a design, I think you could do so much with this. And there's the finished one that's been mounted up. Trying to get both on. Told you I need a cameraman, don't I? Come on, fingers, work. So I hope you have a play with this, and I hope it's useful, especially for men's designs. And I'm thinking these birds, you know, I hate to say it, but I could bring Christmas in. We could have some holly, some ivy, and maybe our little robins on a wire. Maybe they're getting ready for Christmas, because do you know what? It'll be here before you know it. And on that note, I'm going to go. Time for that cheeky brew and biscuit. So you take care. As always, thanks for popping in. Love and hugs from me. Have fun. Bye for now.